You have lost things that mattered to you, not because you lacked talent, not because you lacked opportunity, not because the world was unfair, though sometimes it was. You lost them because in the critical moment, your emotions moved faster than your mind. Anger said something that closed a door permanently. Fear kept you still when movement would have changed everything. Anxiety made a decision before wisdom had a chance to arrive. And afterward, in the quiet, you knew exactly what you should have done. The Stoics called this the gap, the space between what happens to you and what you do about it. Most people have no gap at all. Emotion arrives and action follows immediately. Like a reflex, like a machine, like someone who is handed the controls of their life to whatever they happen to be feeling in any given second. But there is another way to exist, a way of moving through the world where emotion is felt but not obeyed, where loss is experienced but not weaponized against you, where pressure arrives and finds a mind that has already decided. It will not be moved. Today we explore how to train that mind. Stay with me until the end, because what you are about to hear will change the way you respond to everything. Chapter 1: The machine most people never notice. Every person walking this earth is running a program they did not write. It was written for them. By childhood, by loss, by the people who raised them, by the experiences that shaped them. Before they were old enough to question whether those shapes served them, the program runs automatically. Someone disrespects you, anger fires. Something goes wrong, anxiety floods in. Someone leaves, abandonment wounds open. Something fails, shame arrives uninvited. These responses feel natural because they have been running so long that most people have stopped noticing they are responses at all. They feel like reality. They feel like truth. They feel like just the way things are. But Epictetus, a man who was born into slavery, who owned nothing, controlled nothing about his external circumstances, understood something that free people rarely grasp. The program can be rewritten, not overnight, not without discomfort, not without the kind of deliberate practice that most people are unwilling to sustain long enough to see results. But it can be rewritten, and the moment it begins to change, the moment even a small gap appears between what happens and how you respond, everything begins to feel different, because you are no longer a machine running someone else's program. You are a person making deliberate choices about who they want to be. In each moment life presents, that shift is not small. That shift is everything. Chapter 2: What feeling nothing actually means. When the Stoics spoke of emotional mastery, people misunderstood them. They heard feel nothing, become stone, suppress everything. Remove yourself from human experience and call that strength. This is not what the Stoics meant. And it is important to be precise here, because the misunderstanding is costly. Feeling nothing is not the goal. Feeling everything without being destroyed by it, that is the goal. There is a profound difference. A person who feels nothing has disconnected from life. They move through the world without being touched by it, not because they are strong, but because they have built walls so high that nothing can reach them, including joy, including connection, including love. That is not freedom. That is a different kind of prison. The Stoic ideal was something else entirely. It was the ability to feel the full range of human emotion. Grief, anger, fear, love, joy, while maintaining the ability to choose. What those emotions were allowed to do, feel the anger. But choose whether it speaks, feel the grief. But choose whether it governs, feel the fear. But choose whether it decides. This distinction is the difference between suppression and mastery. Suppression pushes emotion down until it finds another way out, usually at the worst possible moment, usually in the direction of the people who least deserve to receive it. Mastery acknowledges emotion fully and then makes a conscious choice about what role it will play in what comes next. Marcus Aurelius felt everything. He lost children. He faced betrayal. He carried the weight of an empire. During plague and war and political chaos, he did not feel nothing. He felt everything and wrote about it honestly. In the private journals we now call the Meditations, but his feelings did not govern his choices. His values did. His reason did. His deliberate practice of creating space between experience and response did. That is what we are building today. Chapter 3, The Cost of Emotional Reactivity. Most people have never calculated what their emotional reactivity has actually cost them. They track money spent, they track time wasted, but they rarely sit down and honestly examine what a life of automatic emotional response has taken from them. The relationships damaged by words spoken in anger that could never be fully unsaid. The opportunities missed because fear was allowed to make the final decision. The years spent in anxiety about things that never actually happened, futures that existed only in the mind, but consumed real time, real energy, real life. While they were being feared, the confidence slowly eroded by a pattern of reacting impulsively, regretting it afterward, and then quietly losing trust in your own judgment. These are not small costs accumulated over a lifetime. Emotional reactivity is one of the most expensive things a person can carry. Seneca wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality, but it goes further than imagination. We also create real suffering, real consequences in the real world, through reactions that felt justified in the moment and devastating in the aftermath. Each person who receives the reactive anger may forgive, but they do not forget the opportunity that was abandoned out of fear, does not return and ask again. The words spoken in a moment of emotional flooding become part of how you are known, part of how you are remembered, part of the story people tell about who you are. This is the true cost, and most people pay it their entire lives without ever stopping to examine the bill. Chapter 4, Building the Gap. The single most important practice in all of Stoic philosophy is deceptively simple. Create a gap between what happens and how you respond. Just a gap. Not silence forever, not the absence of response, just space. A breath, a pause, a moment of observation before the automatic program fires. This sounds simple. In practice, it is one of the hardest things a human being can train themselves to do. Because the automatic program is fast, it has been running for years. It knows exactly which buttons to press and in what order. By the time conscious awareness arrives, the reaction is often already underway. So the training does not begin in the middle of a difficult moment. It begins in the small moments, the minor irritation that normally gets a comment. Pause, observe, choose the reflexive defensive response that normally fires when someone questions you. Pause, observe, choose the automatic agreement that comes when someone looks to you for validation. Pause, observe, choose. Each small pause is a repetition, and repetitions accumulated over time build a new kind of muscle, one that eventually fires faster than the old automatic program, until the gap becomes natural. Until pausing before reacting feels more normal than reacting instantly, until you walk into a difficult moment and notice, almost with surprise, that the usual charge has lost some of its voltage, not because the situation has changed, because you have. Chapter 5: The Discipline of Non-Reaction. There is a specific kind of power that comes from not reacting when reaction is expected. Someone says something designed to provoke. They are waiting. Their entire approach to the interaction depends on you responding in a predictable way, and you say nothing, or you respond so calmly that the provocation finds nothing to grip. What happens in that moment? The person who provoked is left holding something they brought with nowhere to put it. The energy they invested in creating the reaction returns to them without the payoff they expected, and they are left to sit with that. This is not cruelty. This is not strategy in any manipulative sense. It is simply the natural result of being a person who has trained their reactions to the point where not every provocation automatically receives a response. The Stoics understood that most provocations are not actually about you. They are about the person delivering them. Anger is almost always a statement about the internal condition of the person expressing it, more than it is a statement about the person receiving it. Criticism is almost always filtered through the lens of the critic's own insecurities, assumptions, and unresolved experiences. Understanding this changes the entire texture of how provocations land, because when you see a harsh comment as information about the speaker rather than truth about yourself, when you recognize emotional aggression as evidence of the aggressor's internal chaos rather than proof of your own inadequacy, the charge that comment would normally carry simply does not arrive, not because you suppressed it, because your perception of it has changed. And changed perception is the deepest form of emotional mastery, deeper than suppression, deeper than tolerance, deeper than simply enduring something that has not lost its power to hurt. Chapter 6: When Pain Arrives. None of this means you will not feel pain. Loss will come. It always does. Betrayal will happen. Disappointment will arrive in the places you least expected it, and when it does, everything we have discussed in this video is not about pretending it does not hurt. It is about what you do with the hurt. Most people allow pain to do one of two things. The first is to make them reactive. Pain arrives and immediately becomes anger, because anger is easier to feel than grief. Because anger has an object, someone to blame. and grief has only the weight of loss, and no one to direct it toward. So people convert their pain into anger, and spend years directing it outward, at everyone around them, while the original grief goes unprocessed beneath it. The second is to make them closed. Pain arrives and the person decides, consciously or unconsciously, that opening themselves to anything again is not worth the cost of this feeling. So they build walls, not out of strength, out of the decision that protection is worth more than connection. The Stoics offered a third path: feel the pain fully. Examine it honestly. Understand what it is telling you about what you value, what you lost, what you need, and then make a conscious choice about what that pain will be used for. Will it be used to close you down, or will it be used to deepen your understanding of yourself, of others, of what actually matters? Marcus Aurelius lost people he loved. He allowed himself to grieve, but in his meditations he returned always to the same question: what is within my control right now? Not the loss, not the grief, not the person who is gone, but his response to it, his use of it. His decision about whether this pain would make him smaller or deeper. That question, what is within my control right now, is the most stabilizing thing you can ask yourself in the middle of any pain. It does not erase the hurt, but it gives it somewhere useful to go. Chapter 7. The Mind That Cannot Be Reached. There is a version of you that most people will never be able to access emotionally, not because you have become cold, not because you have stopped caring, but because you have built something between the world and your reactions that the world cannot easily penetrate. This version of you does not need external events to go perfectly in order to remain stable. It does not need people to behave consistently in order to feel secure. It does not need circumstances to cooperate in order to maintain a sense of direction and purpose. This is what the Stoics called the inner citadel, a place within the mind that external forces simply cannot reach, not because they stop trying, but because this version of you has stopped leaving the gate open. Most people live entirely on the outside of this citadel. Every opinion that arrives moves them. Every criticism that comes reshapes how they see themselves. Every unexpected difficulty sends their emotional state into immediate turbulence. They have never built the interior walls. The interior walls are built exactly the way we have described throughout this video. One pause at a time. One non-reaction at a time. One moment of feeling something fully, without immediately obeying it. Over time, these repetitions create something real, a quieter baseline, a slower reactivity, a mind that receives difficulty and processes it without being immediately overwhelmed. People who have built this often describe it as feeling like they are operating from a slightly different position than before, not elevated in any arrogant sense, just steadier, like having better footing on uncertain ground, the ground still moves. The circumstances are still unpredictable. The people around them are still inconsistent, and occasionally irrational, and sometimes difficult. Chapter 8. Winning Through Stillness. The word winning means different things to different people. To most people, it means visible victory the promotion, the status, the acknowledgement, the moment when everyone in the room can see that you have come out ahead. The Stoics had a different understanding of winning. To them, the first and most important victory was always the internal one. The day you no longer needed circumstances to cooperate in order to feel whole was a victory. The moment you responded to provocation with stillness, instead of the reactive anger that once came automatically, that was a victory. The conversation where you heard criticism clearly, took what was useful from it, and discarded the rest without resentment, that was a victory. None of these were visible to anyone else, but all of them changed the shape of what was possible. Because a person who has won internally moves through the world differently. They make cleaner decisions, because those decisions are not contaminated by the need for emotional relief. They communicate more clearly, because they are not managing their own reactivity while trying to navigate the interaction. They attract different kinds of outcomes, because the energy they bring to situations is fundamentally different from someone who is constantly operating from reaction. Stillness is not passivity. It is a different quality of action, one that comes from a settled, clear place, rather than from the urgent pressure of unmanaged emotion. And that quality of action almost always produces better outcomes than the reactive alternative, not because the universe rewards the calm, but because a clear mind simply makes better choices than an emotionally flooded one every time, without exception. Chapter 9. The Daily Practice. Everything discussed in this video requires practice, not belief, not understanding, not agreement, practice, the difference between someone who intellectually appreciates Stoic philosophy and someone whose life has actually been changed by it, his daily practice. Here's what that practice looks like concretely. Every morning before the day begins, before the phone, before the noise, before the demands of the world arrive, take 5 minutes. Does not prevent difficult moments from arriving, but it changes the position from which you meet them. Throughout the day, practice the pause. When something triggers the automatic program, when anger rises, when anxiety floods, when the impulse to react immediately arrives, pause, even 1 second, even a breath. That is the gap. That is the practice. And at the end of each day, before sleep, in the quiet, review the moments where you succeeded, and the moments where the old program fired, before the gap could form, not with self-criticism, but with honest observation. What triggered it? What would you do differently? What does this reveal about what you still need to practice? This daily cycle, morning intention, daily pause, evening review, is the simplest and most complete version of Stoic practice available. It requires no special equipment, no special knowledge, no special circumstances, just a decision to show up for it every single day, regardless of whether you feel like it. The days you do not feel like it are the most important days of all. Chapter 10. The Final Message. You came here today because something in you already knows what is possible, not the reactive version of you that has been running on automatic for longer than you would like to admit. The other version, the one that pauses before speaking, the one that feels pain without being destroyed by it, the one that receives criticism and takes only what is useful, the one that walks into difficulty, and finds, perhaps for the first time, that the footing holds. That version of you is not fiction. It is not reserved for philosophers in ancient Rome, or monks on mountain tops, or people with lives less complicated than yours. It is available to you. Right now, in your life, with your history, with everything that has already happened, and everything that is still coming. It is built one pause at a time, one deliberate response at a time, one morning of intention at a time. The Stoics did not promise that this practice would make life easy. They promised something better, that no matter what life brought, and life will always bring something, you would meet it from a place of strength rather than reactivity, from clarity rather than chaos, from a mind that had been trained to feel everything and be governed by nothing. Train your mind to feel nothing and win everything. Not because you stop being human, because you finally start being the version of yourself that was always possible. Take a moment and watch one of the videos on your screen right now. The practice starts today, not tomorrow, not when things get easier, today. Thank you for being part of Stoic Ascent.